The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic time. Hello, and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I am one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
Wake up, Warren.
I got my yawn out of the way right before
I noticed
the
that.
show
You looked
started.
a little bleary-eyed.
Yeah.
But we have so much to talk about. I'm going to be all scatterbrained and weird again this show because I wrote so much shit down, and I'm going to be looking at my little list, and I'm going to go, and I'll be trying to do weird segment breaks, and I'll get all freaked out because I think I'm not getting to enough of the things that I wrote down. But we're going to play it by ear. We're going to do the best we can here. We're going to have an excellent Street Freak of the Week. Don't let me forget that, Warren.
Okay.
Towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
We got some good celebrity news to give you and just other general happenings throughout the week. First of all, Warren, how's your week been? What have you been up to?
My week's pretty good. My sister had a baby.
Oh, a baby.
Yes.
Is that the first baby your sister's had?
That's the first baby my sister's had. It's the first baby that any of my siblings have had.
Yeah.
So I now have a nephew,
Yeah. What's the name?
Hudson.
Hudson.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
It's not bad.
I like that.
I think it's good.
Hud?
Yeah.
What's the last name? What's your brother-in-law's?
Albacton.
Albacton?
Yeah, it's like German.
Hudson Albacton. What's the middle name?
Michael.
Hudson Michael Albacton. Actually, yeah, that kind of works.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, Hudson Michael Albacton, the fourth. He needs a fourth on the end of that thing. I think they should just give him one.
It does sound,
That's like my
patrician.
name, too, Bradley Arthur Victor. It should have a third or something after it, but it
Yeah,
doesn't.
there's no impressive lineage, though, coming
So,
for you.
cute kid, ugly kid?
Oh, it seemed like a lovely kid.
They always look weird when they're first born anyway. They're all mushed up and red and freakish looking. Was he as creepy looking as most
really
babies?
like wrinkly, like hands and feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No, he looked fine.
Yeah.
He looked like a pretty healthy baby.
It's always kind of disturbing when someone has a baby, and you have to give it a couple weeks for them to kind of like their bones to shape up properly,
Yeah.
so they're not all mushed up. But even after a couple weeks, some babies are just fucking ugly, weird looking, little freaks, and you have the parents there, and they're really pleased with the baby, like, oh, look at the baby. Actually, I'm gonna immediately go into that Seinfeld episode. I'm like, come see the baby.
Yeah.
But and you're looking at it, and you're like, this is really offensive to even look at this thing. It's disturbing me. And the parents are really pleased with it. And you got to know that somewhere back in there, or maybe they're just so blinded by the maternal love or whatever that they can't see what their baby is.
Well, everyone talks about, like, when I was there, I saw the baby at the hospital, and we went out to Applebee's afterwards. I don't know why.
The traditional
After
baby Applebee's visit.
And people were just, the baby's so beautiful, baby's so beautiful. And it looked like a good-looking baby.
But they would say that no matter
that's
what
the thing,
baby
though.
looked
They
like.
would say that no matter what.
Yeah.
The baby is beautiful, the baby's amazing. Look at the baby. The baby's so wonderful. Because you just have to say that.
See, I think I'd be the one parent that if I did have an ugly baby, I would freely admit, like, look at that thing. Look at it. It's
Yeah.
a freak. It's disturbing.
That's why we're all want to see you snipped at some point.
Yeah. It's weird to think about. So now you're finally an uncle, and I don't know if I ever will be an uncle, like looking at my siblings. Maybe my little brother will have a kid at some point.
Well, it's interesting because both of you and I are in our mid-30s. We
Yeah.
have brothers that are in their mid-30s. Your
Yeah.
other brother's actually in his late 30s.
Yeah.
None of us have kids.
No.
No.
We don't have a lot of good role models in terms of like family and child rearing and stuff like that. I think that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, of all these siblings we have
Mm-hmm.
through the years, yeah, this is the first one that's had a child.
Does your mom ever do the old, I mean, now she has a grandkid, so she can stop bugging other people, but has she ever gone up to you and like,
No,
when are
she
you
wouldn't
ever
do
gonna
that.
give me a grand? My mom used to do that every once in a while. Like, are you ever going to get married? Are you ever going to have kids? I'm like, no, maybe. I don't know.
Probably
I'm
not.
not planning on it.
No.
Who knows?
Seems unlikely.
It's weird that I was actually getting kind of sad last night because we were all hanging out. Warren and I went out with a couple friends, and talk turned to how things are changing. there's people moving away, people are settling down, and we're in that period now where most of our friends are kind of settling on the person they're going to be with. I say settle, and I mean settle.
It's like that's the difference between like they're settling down to a peaceful existence and settling on someone that you're just
you're just to the point where you're like, I guess this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Yeah. And so a lot of our friends are getting into that stage, and people are moving, things are changing, and I am still and have been still in the like 20-something phase, even though I'm not a 20-something anymore, where I don't go out as much as I used to, but I still like to go out. I like.
You
to
were
go
waxing
to shows.
Nostalgic when we were at the show last night.
I was.
Made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, it's sad because there used to be more of a big group of friends, and people would go out and do activities together and stuff, and that's all kind of breaking down, and it makes sense. It's a natural progression of things, but
as you move into middle age, but
everyone else is doing it and I'm not, and so there's kind of that, the old gangs breaking up, leaving everyone behind kind of thing. It's sad. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Oh, there's, you make some changes too in your existence.
Yeah, I don't really.
Look, you're eating healthier now.
Yeah.
Maybe you're becoming an adult.
I mean, I'm an adult. See, that's my distinction that I always make, is that you're not really, really an adult until you're responsible for someone else other than yourself. And whether or not that just means you're married and you're not necessarily that you're supporting your spouse or anything, but you're not just, it's not just your life.
You're just doing your own thing.
Yeah. And it's just my life, and it doesn't really matter. I don't care. Like, I could have no money or I could have tons of money, and it wouldn't make that much difference. It would, just in terms of
a higher grade of tuna fish for lunch.
Perhaps, yeah. Maybe the albacore instead of just the chunk.
There'd be less dolphin in there.
The dolphin's the best part of the tuna. But, like if I had kids or I had a wife or something, I'd be like, okay, I can't not have any money ever, because there are other people relying upon me to provide for them. And that's when you become an adult, when you start having those pressures and you have to think of other people.
Yeah. That's probably true.
Yeah. And I don't know if I ever want to do that. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Really?
I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, this might be kind of time to make a move in life.
Yeah.
It's always good to do that at some point.
Yeah, but we've talked about this before too, where you get to a certain point, maybe the window of opportunity is closed, because now just even imagining being with somebody every fucking day is really daunting. Just the thought of that is really creepy. Even though I kind of want that at the same time. Yeah. I think I long for that, but then when I actually think about the practical day-to-day existence where that would be the case, it kind of freaks me out. I don't know.
You couldn't spend hours and hours editing a podcast every day.
No.
Or making the Brad Kraft show for hours.
Yeah.
IT guy John's nephews, a couple of them were over today, and he decided to put on the Brad Kraft show for them to watch. I guess they really loved it.
Really? How old are his nephews?
Oh, one of them's like 2, and the other one was like 5
That's my demo
or
right
something.
There. They can't understand.
Apparently they thought it was great.
No, that's good.
Yeah, but they love video games.
Yeah. No, it was actually funny. When I was walking to meet you guys last night, there were these 2 nerdlingers standing outside a bar, just like the most prototypical central casting, fat, like D&D looking nerds.
Yeah.
And as I was walking by, I heard one of them say, yeah, so actually the spawn point in the server is kind of far away from the main area. So if you go there, well, wait a minute, do you have another hub set up yet? And the thing is, I understood exactly what they were saying.
That's because they're you. They are you. You are them.
It was kind of disturbing. What do they say in AA? Reality on reality's terms or something.
Exactly.
I was like, oh.
Well, a while back, the girlfriend and I were like, we're going to watch a little bit of this Brad Kraft. Mm-hmm. So we put it on, and then we were like, this is fine. But it didn't have very many views, so we go, let's see what else they have on the YouTube.
No, there's hundreds of thousands of views.
So we watched this other one that had like 900,000 views.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
They were playing some sort of game. We watched the whole thing.
There's a lot of weird shit where there's certain commentators who have become popular, and then they all kind of join up and they have a server together and do all this weird shit.
They were doing
like
some game together or something. Yeah.
I'm a loner. I'm out there on my own, plugging away.
Well, the girlfriend was concerned that she's like, don't tell Brad about this because he'll feel bad because we watched somebody else's video instead of his.
Wow, yeah. Did she realize I'm not female?
Are people watching the videos? Are you getting more views?
Not really yet. I mean, I don't assume that I will necessarily. I mean, I'm in contact with another commentator dude who actually had liked one of the videos or something, and he's got about 60,000 subscribers or something like that. And he was asking me about the videos, like, oh, I like what you're doing, blah blah blah. And I asked him, how long did it take you to start getting viewers? And he said he was on for like a year and a half before he even had 100 subscribers. So I don't know. It just depends. Things can build. Of course, the Warren and Bradley show never really built very much. So
it started at a peak and just lost audience as it went on.
There was a midpoint, and then I think we have a few really dedicated listeners. In fact, our fan was out last night. We were interacting with our fan.
Yes,
a big fan.
Yeah,
really big fan. Apparently, he yells at his iPod all the time while the show is on, which is good. We want that kind of reaction. We want to elicit some sort of emotion from our listeners. Whether it be boredom,
a lot of
hunger, I don't know.
Disgust.
All right, it's time for a do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Okay, so I'm looking through my list again, and of course I'm not going to get to everything, but the big news locally was the I-5 bridge collapse.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
Oh my God. So those of you not from this area, there is one freeway. People who live in LA or other places might, what the hell are you talking about? One freeway? But pretty much on the West Coast, the I-5 is the main freeway from Canada to
If you're going
Mexico.
from Vancouver to Tijuana, that's the road you're going to drive.
You take I-5, and when you get down Seattle, there's the 405, and there's the the Pacific Coast Highway and stuff like that. But up here, there's one freeway. There is a bridge that freeway goes over down in Skagit County, a little ways to the south of us. The bridge collapsed because some idiot Canadian, of course, with an oversized load, bashed into the bridge and caused it to collapse. It was an old bridge anyway. And so now there is no direct route from Seattle to Bellingham. It's like some weird old Western movie when like a flash flood washes out the bridge. It's really weird to think about how dependent we are on it in a way.
Well, it's odd. The other thing that was very odd about it, when I heard it happened, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this occurred. And I assumed there'd be a lot of deaths, but only 2 cars ended up going into the water.
And there were a couple people injured, but nobody died.
Nobody was killed.
Yeah,
it was very strange that way. That's very fortunate.
Yeah, I saw an interview with one of the guys. He was just like, car went in and managed to get my door open, got my wife out, and got on the car.
One of them
it just didn't seem very
is a hockey player
for
for our local hockey team, was coming up for practice, actually.
We have a local hockey team?
Yes, the Bellingham Blazers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
And so he was driving along, and off he goes. You don't expect that, you know what I mean? You're driving down the freeway and just plunge into the river.
Well, I wasn't even really aware of that bridge. I mean, I guess peripherally I realized that there is a bridge over the Skagit River.
Well, the nature of that is the fact that we've gone over that bridge hundreds and hundreds of times in our life. To go anywhere, you go over that bridge. You don't even think about it, there being a bridge there. But
what I hated is after it collapsed, everyone starts putting all this shit on Facebook, like, oh, if our infrastructure wasn't so horrible, they spend money on infrastructure. It had nothing to do with that. Somebody bashed into the bridge. In Washington, our highways and roads are in very good shape for the most part. And then there were people like, oh, every time I drove over that thing, I just thought about, it was going to collapse. I just knew it would. No, you didn't. You never even thought about it until this happened. And now you just want to place yourself in the story somehow. Oh, you had a premonition about how this bridge was unsafe.
Yeah, I certainly didn't. But it is like original Interstate 5 bridge.
It was from like 59,
55 or something like that. Yeah.
It's been there for a while.
Yeah. I think it's unfortunate, though. I know with a lot of these bridges, it has, those steel trusses over the top of it.
Yeah.
So you really kind of notice the bridge and stuff. I don't like the bridges that don't have those and are just like a road that goes over a river.
Yeah.
I like more of a superstructure to the bridge.
You want a little mini Golden Gate Bridge or something?
Yeah, I like anything that has like something, a little bit of a design to it. And you're like, oh, it's that bridge.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit better.
Are you taking bets on how long it's going to take them to actually repair this?
Well, apparently they're working on getting some sort of like temporary bridge from somewhere in the country, if they can find one, to put up, and then they build the other bridge, but they don't even know if they can find one of those.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking well over a year, in my opinion.
I feel like they'll have something up and going sooner than that.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm not optimistic about it. And this is a huge major hassle. They have these detours that are supposed to go around it, but I've talked to a couple people. My little brother drove up from Seattle this weekend actually too, and it took 2 hours just through the detours. He was just sitting there, no movement whatsoever on the freeway.
What's happening, I think, is that it depends on what time of day you go through.
Yeah.
And if you go through during the peak hours, you're going to be there for hours.
The problem is I'm going to have to work in Skagit County for the next few weeks, and I don't know what my commute's going to be like every
But are you
morning.
going to be in Cedar Woolley?
Yeah.
You're going to be okay in Cedar Woolley.
Well, that's what I couldn't... Well, this is getting a little too specific, but I
For
wasn't
those
sure...
people who live in Cedar
Yeah,
Woolley.
I wasn't sure about the detours because I thought... I don't know. It seemed weird, but I guess maybe locally you'll be able to get through into there.
Yeah, it'll be fine, because you don't have to go over the bridge.
Yeah, but I thought they had, cut off... They had made the detour way earlier, way further north, but maybe that was just for
It's a
people
couple
going
miles.
through.
They narrow the road down to one lane.
Yeah.
But you can get off before that and kind of back your way in there.
No, we'll see what happens.
You know, you're going early in the morning, too, right?
Yeah, but then coming home is what I'm worried about.
Might be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, whatever.
You can always go over the mountains, then back over, yeah.
Oh, what else has been going on? I've been working... Lately, I was working on a very busy street. It was Eldridge Avenue in Bellingham. Those who are familiar with the area. And I hate it when I have to work on a street that has a lot of traffic going by because you're just on display the entire time, and everybody is rubbernecking, like, ooh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And they're watching you work, and... I don't know. I just feel I don't like people watching me while I'm working. It really bothers me. I don't know why it is. But I've been working out there, and some of the days it was kind of hot, so I had to take the old shirt off because I was sweating up a storm.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a working man working up a sweat.
It makes you think of those old Dr. Pepper ads, right? Didn't that guy take his shirt off and stuff?
Well,
and...
you take the can that has all the moisture, the condensation on it, you rub it on your sweaty
Well, didn't they have a
brow.
campaign revolving
There's something
around
like
that?
wasn't there one, or maybe this was a Diet Coke one, where there was always some masculine buff construction worker working outside and there were office chicks in a building opposite watching him as he drank his, I don't know if it was Dr. Pepper or Diet Coke.
I feel like it was Dr. Pepper. I feel like there was a Dr.
Yeah.
Pepper thing around this.
But speaking of that, as I was shirtlessly, wielding my mattocks and pickaxes and things like that, this is another good example of us taking, in our That's How Women Are segments, taking stereotypes and just shredding them, tearing them to bits. Men are often considered the people who catcall.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, yeah, baby. They see a hot woman walking by, or construction workers especially are supposed to do that, which I have never done in my entire life. But as I was working out there, I had tons of chicks driving by going, woo, yeah, oh yeah, baby. Just randomly out of car windows.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. I felt like a piece of meat. I felt completely objectified.
You realize that just because that's happened to you as a man doesn't mean that's not happening to women all the time?
Well, no, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's your perspective on things is like, things are sometimes hard for me, so you're like, things are never hard for women but are hard for men.
No. That's not my
it's
perspective
women
at all. But
have
I
a
just
lot of
found it
horrible things
funny
happen.
because I've worked on a lot of job sites, and I've never once seen a construction worker catcall a woman, ever.
Yeah.
No, on any job site I've ever worked on, that's never happened. I've never seen it.
Yeah, for
But-
something that's like, I see in movies or TV
Yeah, it happens
shows.
in movies all the time.
But yeah, I can't recall ever seeing that actually happen in real life.
It was funny because there was actually someone I know who was like, "Meow!" as they went by, and I looked at the car. I was like, "Hey, that's that person." And so I texted her. It was like, "You just completely made me feel like a piece of meat." And she was like, "That was you? I'm so embarrassed." So I thought that she had known it was me, and that's why she was doing it.
But she just does that to all the construction workers all the
Apparently.
time. She just rolls around town, hooting at them.
Hubba hubba, baby. Oh, what else? I know I got too much written down. Oh, another thing with this job. My dad is not always the most environmentally conscious person in the entire world, and there was part of this job where we were pouring stamped concrete.
Yeah.
And that's a very long, involved, labor-intensive process. But the end result is that the concrete has this film of colored powder over top of it that you have to pressure wash off. Now, we're on a busy street. There's nowhere to wash this off into other than the gutter, and from thence to the storm drains, and thence into the bay, because it just drains directly to the bay. So I was like, how the fuck am I going to do this without all this runoff going down the street? Unfortunately, it was raining like a bastard that day, and so the rain sort of took everything out of my hands, and everything just started running off into the street. I was calling my dad, like, we got to do something about this. People are going to freak out. And, of course, every other home had a Prius parked in front of it, so it's the kind of area where people are going to see this and freak out.
It's a slightly affluent area there.
Yeah, and it's this bright orange, toxic-looking shit running into the storm drain. So I'm like, it's only a matter of time before we get some storm water person from the city of Bellingham out here. And my dad's like, just do it quick. Do it. I was like, this isn't good.
Well, what could you do about it?
Well, we should have had sandbags. We should have had all sorts of shit.
And then you block it up and make a little dam?
And then pump it out into grass or something so it can filter through. It was raining so hard that it kind of fucked us over in that way. But anyway, of course, little dude from the city came by. And it was funny, though, because he wasn't a dick about it. He came up and was like, this isn't good. I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. And he got the shit out of his truck. He got this little bucket. We went down to the manhole cover. He took his little glass container and looked. Yeah, there's particulate. It's going to go into the bay. And, of course, my whole strategy was to be like, what am I doing? I don't know what's going on here. Just act like an idiot, and I was completely helpless. And so the man is, like, bodily shoving himself down this manhole, trying to take buckets of water out to, like, stop the shit from going into the bay. And
that was the solution? He was going to, like...
Yeah, I was like, this isn't going to work. And so finally we ended up having to go... We had to rent this giant thing called a Vactor truck, which is this huge truck with a giant tank and this ridiculously powerful vacuum attachment, and just suck up all the water. And so we told the guy from the city we would do that, and he's like, okay, well, we really appreciate that you're doing what you can to solve this problem. We're like, all right. And so finally, we couldn't get a private company to do it, so we actually had to rent it from the city. And so the city workers came out, and it was the most perfect, like, if these guys had been in some movie from the 80s set in New York as, like, guys working on the sidewalk or something, it could not have been more perfect. There was a big beefy white dude who sort of sounded like he was from the Bronx, and then this black dude, and they're the little two amigos there. They jump out, and we had this blue-collar bonding moment, because they come out, and they're like, yeah, got yourself a problem here. And I'm like, yeah. And they start going off about the higher-ups. We're down here, but they're up there.
Yeah.
Like, yep. And there's a lot of handshaking, a lot of fist pumping and things like that going on. The black guy who sounded exactly like Morgan Freeman just kept shaking his head and saying, it's hard to make a living anymore. And I'd go, yep. It's very hard to make a living.
A city employee should never say that it's hard to make a living.
Well, they're making a very fine living.
They're making a fine living, probably doing
$70 an hour.
Probably doing very little.
Yeah. But it was a nice working class bonding moment.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Did you get it all pumped out?
We got it all pumped out.
So we saved the bay?
Saved the bay.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God.
Although the bay is already horribly polluted.
Compared to how it used to be, it's much better. I mean, they used to just pump raw sewage right into the sewer. And then there was the Georgia Pacific plant and everything.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
like foam all over the bay. Nothing lived in it whatsoever.
Don't go fishing right around downtown Bellingham, the bay there.
Yeah, I guess we'd catch dogfish that had so much mercury in them that they were illegal to sell in the U.S., but we would ship them to Japan, I think.
What, really?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem right.
I know. Yeah, whatever. They like dogfish.
I don't know if they like mercury.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show lead story. Amanda Bynes is in trouble again, Warren.
Yes.
Now, you said, I mentioned this before the start of the show, and you hadn't heard about this at all, and I was surprised. I thought maybe your girlfriend would have kept you apprised of such things. For those of you who don't know, Amanda Bynes, on May 23rd, I believe, she lives in a building in New York, and apparently the manager of the building claimed that Amanda Bynes was rolling a joint and smoking it in the lobby of the building.
Yeah.
So he called the police. The police came to her apartment. I guess the manager let them into the building, and then they went up to her door, knocked on the door, and after about 5 minutes, this is according to the police, she let them into the apartment. They said it smelled strongly of marijuana smoke, and there was a bong sitting on the kitchen counter. She took the bong and threw it out the window in front of the police officers.
Uh-oh.
So...
Where is she?
What?
Where's this happening?
In New York.
Just gonna hit somebody in the head.
Yeah, I don't know what floor she was on or anything. So they charged her with tampering with evidence, obstruction of justice, reckless endangerment, and I don't know if they charged her with marijuana possession because I guess she had thrown the bong out the window. So she was arrested. We have a picture here we'll post on warrenandbradley.com of her wearing a ridiculous, weird blonde wig being dragged out into the street. Here's her mugshot as well. We'll post on warrenandbradley.com. This weird blonde wig with big puffy bangs. So the sequence of events, if you let the cops into your apartment, first of all, throw the bong out the window first.
Yeah.
Or don't even throw it out the window, just put it somewhere. Because they don't have a search warrant.
No.
You're inviting them into the property. It makes no sense. And I guess she hasn't been shown to have the best judgment in the world anyway. But now the new wrinkle on this story is that Amanda Bynes is claiming she was sexually harassed by the police after she was taken into custody and released on her own recognizance because she wasn't considered a flight risk. This is from usmagazine.com, yes. She says, I think on Twitter, she posted this tweet, "Don't believe the reports about me being arrested. It's all lies. I was sexually harassed by one of the cops the night before last, which is who then arrested me." Ugh, grammar. "He lied and said I threw a bong out the window, and then I opened the window for fresh air. Hilarious. He slapped my vagina. Sexual harassment. Big deal. I then called the cops on him. He handcuffed me, which I resisted, quite unlike any of the reports stated. Then I was sent to a mental hospital. Offensive. I kept asking for my lawyer, but they wouldn't let me. The cops were creepy. The cops sexually harassed me. They found no pot on me or bong outside my window. That's why the judge let me go. Don't believe any reports." And she claims that the bong was actually a vase.
What if she actually went in for a psych eval?
I know that she was taken to a hospital, and from what I had heard from her people, it was for exhaustion again or something like that. But yeah, I think she's fucking crazy.
So her story was that the cop actually harassed her the other day before, though.
No.
That's what it sounded like. Like he
think
had harassed her the
she's
day before, and then he came back for more of the action to smack her vagina, and then she was like trying to get away or something.
I just love that as a form of sexual. Have you ever done that to anybody? You just come up to a girl and go, bam, just slap that vagina?
Not since the 80s, no. When you get away with that stuff.
Oh, she's totally unhinged, and I love it. Just hopefully she doesn't actually seriously harm herself. But for now, these shenanigans are amusing. I enjoy it. Next story. Roman Polanski laments leveling of sexes as idiotic. Here we go. This is from the Associated Press. Roman Polanski says the birth control pill has had a masculinizing effect on women. The director said the pill has changed the place of women in our times. While talking to reporters Saturday at the Cannes Film Festival, he was there to premiere his film Venus in Furs. Polanski said the leveling of the sexes is idiotic and lamented that offering flowers to a lady has become indecent. Roman Polanski is the last person who should be commenting at all about how the sexes interact. Stupid fucking rapist asshole. Why is he opening his mouth?
Speaking of flight risks,
oh my
maybe
God.
Amanda Bynes is going to take off now. And
So I guess the fact that women have control over their reproductive future is annoying to him because he... if you're going to rape 13-year-olds, you want them to be on the birth control pill, I would think. Maybe he didn't think this through all the way.
It's possible he didn't, yeah.
Jesus. Just shut the fuck up, Roman Polanski. Why is he... I thought he was getting extradited and everything. What happened?
I don't know. It got complicated. I think the Swiss police or something had him, and then...
Let him go
eventually. We couldn't get him extradited, and they let him go for some reason.
That's ridiculous. Next story. Charlie Sheen changes name back to Carlos Estevez.
Oh, really?
Getting back to his roots here. Adios, Charlie Sheen. This is from Us Magazine. After more than 3 decades in show business, the 47-year-old actor will use his birth name, Carlos Estevez, in director Robert Rodriguez's upcoming movie, Machete Kills. Ironically, the anger management star admitted he hasn't fully embraced his Spanish heritage. So they were... his dad was actually from Spain, right? They weren't Latin American, as far as I know.
It could be.
I don't wake up feeling Latino. I'm a white guy in America. I was born in New York and grew up in Malibu. His father, whose actual name was... Where was that? Ramon Antonio Geraldo Estevez changed his name when he moved to
gotta change
Hollywood.
that.
I invented Martin Sheen, he explained on Inside the Actor Studio in 2003. I've never actually changed my name. It's still Estevez officially. So I think...
So Emilio, what about Emilio? Emilio never changed?
just kept his name.
He just stayed Emilio?
And Martin Sheen legally was still Ramon Antonio Geraldo Estevez, but I think Charlie Sheen actually legally did change his name to Charlie Sheen.
Really?
Which is weird, because I had a friend in L.A. who is the grandson of Joey Bishop, and Joey Bishop's real name was not Joey Bishop. It was some Jewish name. I can't remember what the actual name was. But then his son, my friend's dad, ended up just using the name Bishop as his last name, and now my friend's real last name is Bishop.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
You can do that. You can change your name. But I mean, what was Martin's name?
Martin was, I don't want to say this again, Ramon Antonio Geraldo Estevez.
Yeah, that's too much to
mouthful.
get on a poster, you know. Yeah.
And especially because he does just look like some white dude. I mean, you know, in Departed, he was playing an Irish cop. So it's not like he has any of that Latin flair that he could parlay. He's not like a... what's his name? Antonio Banderas. You know, he doesn't have that kind of
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, you know. So you might as well just change your name.
But Emilio looks more, you know.
Well, he's blonde, ish.
Is it just the name that's throwing me off
blue
there?
Blue eyes too. I think they all have blue eyes. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that they're Latino. That's like saying Cameron Diaz is Latino. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess.
Where's Cameron Diaz from?
I think her parents are Cuban.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but she looks like the whitest, most European person in the world. So
she's weird looking.
Yeah, she is. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Here's a weird story.
Oh, good.
Brad Pitt says he can't remember faces, thinks he suffers from prosopagnosia.
I think he might suffer from dumbness, but he might have face blindness too.
Or just complete narcissism. See, the story is in Us magazine, and basically the whole story is saying that he'll meet people and then doesn't remember those people later. And people think he's an asshole because of it. And I think, you know, he's a giant Hollywood star, and he's got people all over him all the time. Maybe he's just self-absorbed and doesn't pay any attention to who he meets. And now he's trying to blame it on some sort of syndrome. I mean, there is an actual syndrome where people have trouble actually imprinting memories of faces. I don't have that problem. I remember faces. I never remember names. So maybe that's my own weird narcissistic thing.
That's the face blindness thing, though, right?
Yeah, but he thinks he might have that.
No,
so he's going to be tested to see if he does. I don't know.
You would know you have that.
I would think so.
Because you
I'm
can't
sure
recognize
remember
people.
Some people.
No, because if you actually have that, you can't recognize people.
Yeah, you can't. It's weird. It's not like you'll recognize some people and not others. You won't recognize anybody.
And you have to like build up a whole strategy for like recognizing people based on the way they talk or what they're wearing.
Exactly.
Stuff.
Oh, I think it was last week we had Shia LaBeouf's seminal, groundbreaking short film. And I think I don't know, a couple months ago we had the story where he was saying that in Nymphomaniac, the new Lars von Trier movie, that there was actually going to be unsimulated sex between the actors, and he was kind of bragging about this because it was so cutting edge. It's not true. They're actually body doubles performing the sex acts, and the actors' upper halves are going to be digitally placed onto the body doubles.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so he's lying.
Everyone knows about my feelings about Shia and Lars von Trier, that they're both charlatans. So this seems to fall right in line with that.
Makes perfect sense. And our last story on Celebrity Minute for this week. Bidder wins space trip with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's from Entertainment Tonight.
That's a weird headline.
Yeah. A bidder at a Cannes charity auction will soon be headed on a trip that is out of this world. According to The Hollywood Reporter, a fan bid $1.5 million to be seated next to Leonardo DiCaprio on a Virgin Galactic flight into space. The trip, arranged by Harvey Weinstein, reportedly benefits the Amfar Cinema Against AIDS charity. Prior to the event, the voyage was touted as a once-in-a-lifetime trip to space with a mystery guest. In addition to DiCaprio, other notable guests in attendance include Nicole Kidman and Christoph Waltz.
I like how we have to shoot our movie stars into space to raise money for AIDS. I like how the two things have to be connected.
If you had $1.5 million to just throw around, would you spend it on a trip to space with Leonardo DiCaprio?
I don't think I'd want to go on the trip. I think I'd much rather go into space if Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't there.
Really? You think he'd actually be a detriment to the trip?
it'd just be weird.
I'm on top of the world, Warren. Look at this.
Yeah, and I'd be like, I don't want to do this.
He didn't say top of the world. That was James Cameron. Or no, he said it too, and James Cameron was quoting him in the Oscars, right?
He would get on.
I never actually have seen
the
Titanic,
front of the ship and be.
Mr. DiCaprio, there's no oxygen out there. Shut up, Dad. I'm on top of. Oh no, I'm king of the world. That's what it was. Yeah.
But isn't a trip into space cost almost that much, anyways?
I don't think it costs that much anyway. I think it's a couple $100,000 maybe.
Oh, so you just paid a little bit more for the privilege of seeing DiCaprio.
Of being with Christoph Waltz would be fun to be on a trip to space with, I think. He seems like a nice, personable guy. I've heard him interviewed several times. Leonardo DiCaprio, I don't know if he'd have much to say. Look at all the stars. Yeah, I think that'd be about the extent
motion
of his
around the cabin of the... yeah.
Good one, Warren.
Thank you.
Go. Look at those. Those chops. All right, that's enough time for Celebrity Minute on this week's Warren and Bradley Show.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show. They wander the streets, scavenging for loose change and discarded cigarette butts.
Spare $1
and give me a motherfucking cigarette.
I ran out of gas ways back.
You smoke weed, don't you?
Good.
I could use some change.
They may be mentally unstable and deserving of our charity, but that doesn't mean they can't be selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week.
Wow. We've got a real Street Freak of the Week this week, Warren.
Oh, good.
This is one for the ages, for the record books. Actually, I shouldn't build it up too much, but you know that we went out last night. You're aware of that.
I remember, yeah.
You left a little earlier.
Yeah.
We went to a show. I stayed at the show. Everyone else snuck away. While we went into the show, they took that opportunity to run away.
Yeah, they ran away. Then I eventually ran away to some other bars.
Yes,
yeah.
so I was left by myself, of course, as usually happens. But I was having a good time watching bands, interacting with a couple other people there. But by about, 1 o'clock or so, I was ready to pack it in. So I decided to go get some Russian dumplings and carry them home with me and devour them in my bed. And as I was walking home down Holly Street in downtown Bellingham, those of you familiar with the area, I could hear a loud crashing noise, like somebody bashing something.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? And it was on Cornwall Avenue. Again, I'm just going to name these streets, and if you know what I'm talking about, great. If you don't, I don't care.
If you don't know a lot about the local streets in this area, I was talking that long about the bridge collapse and the streets of downtown Bellingham. This isn't going to be very interesting.
Maybe we'll put a Google Maps thing or something, or Street View. But anyway, heard the sound on Cornwall Avenue. I stopped for a second. Was like, what is that? Walk down the street a little bit and see a very large lummy Native American homeless woman with some sort of cudgel, bludgeon, blunt instrument. And she was bashing on store windows, and she was just ba-bam, ba-bam, and then she broke one.
Yeah.
Big one broke out. It's like, oh, shit, that's not good.
Yeah.
Walked to the next one, ba-bam, ba-bam, started beating on it. Broke that, and so I went, hey, and yelled.
Yeah.
Tried to get her attention. She wasn't paying attention, just continued bashing. And I noticed there was a black gentleman who was going, he was looking at her with some consternation. He also seemed homeless, and he yelled out to her, put that away. Put it away. And she wasn't paying any attention. She just kept bashing. I was like, do you know this person? Well, I wouldn't say we're good friends or anything, but I know
part
her.
of the local homeless community.
I know her. It's like, okay, well, she should probably stop doing that. It's like, oh, I'm trying to get her to stop. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to call the police. Like, don't call the police. So she's walking down the street, just to each window, giving it a few bashes. Wasn't breaking every one. But I'm like, okay, she's going to break out every fucking window on the street here. That's not good.
Yeah.
That's expensive. And there's a charity shop, and it's not like corporate America or something.
It's a very difficult time getting any businesses down there.
Yeah. And so I took it upon myself to cross the street and confront her. Now, bear in mind, this woman was my height. I'm 6'2". She's fucking huge, giant woman, and had this club. She was very angry and was screaming.
What kind of club does she have?
She had some sort of club. I couldn't. It was dark, and so I got about 20 feet away, maybe 10 feet away, and said, "Hey, I'm calling the cops right now. And finally got her attention. She turned to me and went, "Don't you call the cops!" And like brandished the club thing at me. Meanwhile, her little black friend ran up behind me like, Don't call the cops, don't do it. Like, I'm gonna call the cops. It's like, don't you fucking call the cops! And brandishing, I can't say the word, brandishing this thing around. So I'm like, okay, dialing, and pressed call on my phone, put it to my ear, and she just booked it. Just took off.
Yeah.
The black dude looked around a couple times and then went, oh, and took off in the opposite direction.
He wasn't even doing anything, but he knew better than hang out.
He didn't want to be
when
around.
The cops are around, yeah.
And so got the cops on the phone. Now, this is interesting juxtaposition because I had to call the cops a couple times when I lived in L.A. So, yeah, the juxtaposition of the customer service, let's call it, between the LAPD and the BPD. So when I called the Bellingham Police Department, I just dialed 911 because I didn't want to take the time to try to look up the police phone number. And got this guy, Bellingham Police Department. Like, yeah, there's a crazy homeless woman breaking windows downtown here. He's like, oh, can you describe her? It's like, yes, she's
gigantic,
large, wearing like a black track jacket with white piping. She probably weighs 240 pounds or something like that. She's maybe 6 feet tall, blah, blah, blah. She was with an African-American companion. I think
Why are you selling him out?
Well, because they might be together at some point and they could pick him out. And I said, she's Native American. I saw her going on this street in this direction, blah, blah, blah. Gave all the description and everything. Like, okay, can I have your name? Like, yeah, it's Bradley Victor. Gave him my address and everything. And then it's like, okay, so can we contact you later if we need any more information? It's like, I guess I'm walking home right now. He's like, okay, well, you gave us a really good description. We really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. I'm like, okay, you're welcome. Hang up the phone. In L.A., when my girlfriend and I were in our apartment and heard gunshots right at the foot of our apartment, like blam, 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 and she started freaking out. I mean, you hear gunshots all the time anyway, but this was like right at our apartment. And I called the police. Los Angeles Police Department. Yes, there were shots fired down on the street in front of our apartment. Was anyone injured? I don't know. There were shots fired. Maybe you should send a cruiser or something out to see. Like, okay, yeah, we might do that. Hang up the phone. About 45 minutes later, a cop car just kind of slowly cruises by.
Yeah.
If there was anybody doing anything nefarious, they were not going to catch them. But as soon as I got off the phone, I saw a police cruiser in Bellingham zipping by, going in the direction I'd said the woman was going. So I got about halfway to my apartment. Phone rings, number I don't recognize. Answer it. Hey, is this Bradley? Yes. Hi, we just spoke on the phone. I'm from the Bellingham Police Department. Like, hey, how you doing? Like, we don't want to put you out or anything, but do you think it's possible for you to ID a suspect for us? Like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like, okay, we'll send a car right for you. Where are you right now? Like, I'm in front of the waterfront bar and grill. I was like walking down to my house. Like, okay, could you just wait there for us for just take a few minutes? Like, okay. So, cop car pulls up. Short, tiny little police woman jumps out. She's like, hi, are you Bradley?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Bradley. She's like, hey, okay, I'm just going to drive you over to where we have the suspect. If you could just give us a positive ID. Like, okay. And she puts me in the back of the cruiser.
Yeah.
And I've never been in the back of a police cruiser before. It's very interesting. I've been in the front of a police cruiser before.
Yeah.
I've never been in the back. I got a negligent driving ticket once. No leg room at all. My knees were at my chin, basically. I'm 6'2", fairly tall, taller than average, but my God, if you were any taller than me, there's no way you'd even get back there. They have these hard plastic seats, crazy weird harness seatbelt thing. It was very uncomfortable. So I was just like, crammed in the back.
A lot of people they throw back there are like out of their minds.
Yeah.
So that's the point.
So I was crammed in the back there. I was trying to make small talk with the policewoman as we were going up there. I was like, yeah, never been in the back of a police cruiser before. Well, that's good. Yeah. Wasn't getting much out of her. But it was hilarious. The whole procedure, I felt like I was Bubs in The Wire or something. Because we start pulling up to where they have this woman. And I can see from a block away, she's like, like raging.
Yeah.
This giant freak woman. And there's cops surrounding her everywhere. I don't think any of them had their guns drawn or anything. But they're all like kind of trying to talk her down. And she's like, now, if you want to just sort of crouch down in the car. It's like, I'm not worried about her.
The retribution.
I know.
Yeah. They're going to blow up your car. You're going to get out and start your car one day and it's going to explode.
So the plan was for me to like just peek my eyes above the window and she was going to drive by and I was going to get the positive ID. I'm like, it's fine. Just pull up. So she pulls up. I'm like, yeah, that's her. I mean, I could tell from a block away that it was her. And she's like, okay. And she like peels out and drives me. It's like, okay, where do you live? I'm like, it's just down the street on Holly. So she drove me all the way home. And then I'm in the backseat of this car, and I'm assuming I can't open the door.
Yeah.
And we sat there for a good 30 seconds, and I was waiting for her to get out of the car and let me out. I was like, just waiting.
Yeah.
And she didn't say anything. She was like, yeah, we had a positive ID on the suspect, blah, 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 witness. She was like in her radio and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, could you let me out? Like, oh, I'm sorry. Ha, ha, ha. She jumped out of the car and let me out. And the funny thing is, as I was getting out of the car, I could see on the first floor of my building, the blinds were open.
Oh, yeah.
Like somebody was peering through their blinds. I'm like, okay.
Your reputation gets better and better every day.
So I get out of the car this morning as I was checking the mail, because I hadn't checked it yesterday. Neighbor comes out of the apartment from the first floor, sees me, and goes, "Had a rough night last night, huh?" It's like, no, what are you talking about? It's like, I saw a police car drop you off at the apartment. You had a brown paper bag. I was like, brown paper bag? And I did have a brown paper bag because I had my pelmeni, my dumplings in there. And I realized that he thought that the brown paper bag was like my belongings from jail or something that. Like they had given him to me. I don't know what it was, like my comb and my wallet or something like that. I was like, no, I witnessed something and was just IDing. And he's like, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Typical story.
Yeah. So now I have crazy homeless people screaming my name outside my building, which we reported on earlier. So people think I'm like some kind of weird, crazy drug dealer or something. And yeah. So anyway, that was my experience with the street freak.
Well, I haven't been out for a while, and you tend to forget that area of downtown Bellingham is unbelievable. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah.
You know what's weird? I had a friend recently telling me about one of his friends being shot 3 times in Bellingham.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Really? He's like, oh, yeah. We won't get into the story, but basically some freak neighbor just shot his friend 3 times because he thought he was threatening him or something. It's a really weird thing. I guess the neighbor got arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. And so I looked up the police reporting on our local newspaper. There is so much shit going on in Bellingham that I'm completely unaware of. There's stabbings constantly and shootings and crazy theft. It's ridiculous.
It's a lot of it's centered around that area,
and it's all in that area. It's all around the time where I'm there when I'm walking home, or I don't know. And I rarely see anything.
When I left the dance club last night, and I went and got a man pie, and I ate that. And then I was walking along, and a group of black men in like formal wear were getting in some confrontation with these white guys, and they were screaming at each other, and there was going to be a fight. And people were like, back up, Tommy, back up. And he's like, come on, come on. And that went on for a long time. And I waited, and I watched and watched. And then eventually, a different tall Native American woman, homeless woman, came in and just punched the white guy in the face. And he didn't react.
Are you sure it was a different one? Maybe it
might have been the same one. And
what was she wearing?
She was wearing like a
black tracksuit
sweatshirt or something. Maybe it was her.
It was like a black tracksuit with white piping on it.
I don't know if there was any piping.
She's huge.
I don't know if this one. She's pretty big. I don't know if she's huge.
It was probably earlier in the night.
But she punched him 3 times.
Wow.
And he just was like,
was he just like a college dude, or
he was just some bro that was just downtown? And then I eventually was like, oh, I guess I'll walk away. And then I walked away. And then eventually they started rolling around the street. So I was like, I have to go back and watch. And then there's like people punching each other in the street, And it keeps going on as they keep yelling at each other and then keeping separated and then getting close together again.
Yeah.
It's a crazy scene.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see that other places.
Not really. I mean,
because it's such a mix of just like these West Coast drifters, who are just like toothless, crazy people, and a bunch of college students and like hippies.
Well, that's the other thing that really hit home with me when I was reading that the police blog on the Bellingham Herald was, all our little street freaks of the week were always just kind of street freaks. They do commit a lot of crimes, actually. And a lot of violent crimes, actually. I always think of them as kind of harmless. There's lots of stabbings. There's lots of rapes. There's lots of things going on.
It's often homeless on homeless crime,
A lot of it is, but a lot of theft and things. Actually, there was another story I was reading recently, just right downtown. In the middle of the day, some guy was in his car, saw a homeless man trying to open all the cars behind him, and had several backpacks on his back, and he opened a car right behind him and got another backpack out. So the guy got out and confronted him. The guy pulled a knife on him, tried stabbing him. It's the middle of the afternoon on a very busy street in downtown Bellingham. Every witness just ran away and did nothing to help him. And he was like, dodging. He had his little kid in his car, like, Daddy, oh my God. It's ridiculous. It's insane.
It is completely insane. I know with all these like crazy shootings and stuff that go on too. They're just
there's drive-by shootings all the time.
Well,
it's so weird.
But I mean, just with like mentally ill people shooting people all over the country.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people insist that the fact that we used to have a system of insane asylums where we kept people.
Yeah.
And we don't really do that anymore.
No, that's considered inhumane now.
And so we have a lot of just like severely mentally ill people roaming around.
Well, we have this weird idea that, okay, these people need treatment, which is a good idea, yes, but they don't get treatment, and nobody makes sure that they get treatment. So if we're not going to warehouse them, we have to do something. It's either one or the other. You can't say, okay, it's inhumane to just lock them away. They
but it's
need
also
treatment.
inhumane just to let people run riot.
And be subjected, also just the normals, being subjected to crazy people who might stab them or shoot them or do something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough line to walk there.
So anyway, the Street Freak has been kind of far-ranging, but I like it because it was... I'll tell you what, if I meet this woman again... and she knows that I dropped a dime on her.
Yeah.
I would not want to tangle with this chick. She's fucking...
Well, she probably has her club with her still.
Burly, crazy, giant woman.
Yeah.
And I'm not intimidated by very many people, but my God, she would beat the shit out of you, Warren. Seriously. She's insane.
Well, that's that crazy strong, they talk about. Yeah.
So anyway, I guess congratulations. Giant, burly, crazy, bludgeon-wielding, homeless Native American woman who bashes windows out and got arrested and was ratted out by me. You've been selected as this week's Street Freak of the Week.
Congratulations.
Our hats are off to you, Mr. Homeless Man, because you've been selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the
Week. So, Warren.
Yes.
I'm sure you've heard about the new product from Google, Google Glass, which is coming out.
Are they Google Glasses? Is that what they're called?
They're called Google Glass.
And it's like a pair, it's like glasses you wear, right?
You look like Geordie LaForge from Star Trek The Next Generation. They're these weird frames that have this thing that kind of goes over one eye that has a display that shows up in your eyeball.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's supposed to interface with Android devices or if it's supposed to be completely standalone, but it's voice activated. You can take pictures, you can record video, you can bring up web pages, get directions. It's like a heads-up display that you wear around all the time. You look like a complete douchebag with them on, I have to say right away. I think it's already available, or it will very shortly be available. And then also, the new Xbox has been announced. It's called the Xbox One. And it's a new games console made by Microsoft that has an integrated voice and motion control built into the console. And the thing that these two products both have in common is that they're both voice activated. And it's come out recently that both Google Glass and Xbox One are always listening. So you have the Xbox One in your living room.
Yeah.
You plug it in. You have to have it connected to the internet. And I guess it checks into the cloud every once in a while or something. But even when it's off, there's a microphone on there listening for you to say, turn on Xbox, and it'll turn on. Microsoft claims that it's only listening for that phrase to turn on. But what's to stop it from listening all the time? And it also has an infrared camera on it. And so it sees in a complete 360, well, not 360, like 180 degree field of view into your living room. And even if you put something over it, like a cloth or something, it's infrared, so it'll still see you in your apartment.
Yeah.
And the Google Glass, there's going to be weird nerdlingers running around with these things on their faces. You can take pictures whenever you want, and there's actually even an option built into the firmware of Google Glass that you can just wink one eye, and it will start taking video or take pictures and recording audio at any time. Now, are you at all weirded out by this in any way?
I wouldn't want it. I'll tell you that.
Are you weirded out by the idea that people are going to adopt this without thinking anything of it? Would you put something in your living room? Let's say you were a gamer and liked to play video games. Would you put something in your living room that was always watching you and always listening to you?
You know what? I actually wouldn't worry that much about that. As far as them, I
mean, this is 1984. There's the screen on your wall that can see and hear you.
Yeah, that's true. But it's
And what's to stop law enforcement eventually from like, okay, let's see what's happening in Warren's apartment right now?
Well, I guess eventually they probably would do that, right? They get a warrant to
You would think so.
look through the infrared camera on your video game
It's really
console.
And think about all the shit. I'm trying to think of what the Xbox One would see if somebody was watching. It would be me on my couch in my underwear, probably. I don't spend a lot of time in front of my TV anyway. But let's say, fingers crossed, that I had a girl over or something.
Now we're getting super hypothetical, but okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay. It's possible.
Yeah.
There's cavorting. There's making out.
Yeah.
There's boob grabbing and things like that going on. There might be genitalia exposed.
So it's like Hal, just like watching you.
Yeah.
With this red
It's a little
light.
red light, like computer. I don't know.
But what's the advantage to this?
I guess it's just supposed to be. The UI is supposed to be more advanced, so it's voice activated, gesture activated, so everything you do, you can be. Have you seen Minority Report?
Yes.
It's like you're gesturing, you're wiping screens,
Yeah.
you're doing things with your hands, and you're speaking. I mean, it's cool in a way, but when it's off, I want it to be off. And I mean, even cell phones freak me out because technically they can hear everything going on as well, even if
Yeah.
they're off. You have to take the fucking battery out. And they also all have GPS built in. Like,
Well, you know my feelings about this, though. I don't. The reason I don't have a cell phone is because I really hate the sensation of constantly being connected with everyone all the time.
Yeah.
And the idea that, like, my house or my Nintendo or whatever fucking thing is going to be like watching me all the time and constantly connected and stuff. I would just want to just unplug it all the time. Be like, we don't need this. This is unnecessary, because it is unnecessary.
well, and what I'm really asking you is, if I were to get one of these Xbox Ones, I probably would have it unplugged most of the time.
Yeah.
And would you think I was weird for doing that? Do you think I'd be paranoid or kind of weird, creeped out, freaky?
Yeah, I don't. The thing is, I don't get that paranoid about like private companies taking my information like that.
I don't like it at all. That's why I don't like using Google things. I don't do Google Plus. I don't use any of that shit because they want everything. They want your phone number. They want everything. And I don't want them to have things. And I know it's a losing battle in the world we live in now to try to keep anything private. But it really creeps me out. And it's all incremental, and I go back to Minority Report again. You walking around and all these retinal scanners and putting like personalized ads on screens as you're walking around.
Yeah.
We're not that far from that.
Yeah, I don't like that shit.
It's really creepy.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
And
I think in the back of my mind, even though I'm not a criminal, it bugs me to think like, if I wanted to commit a crime, it's not sporting anymore. You should be able to get away with things if you're smart enough. It's like with traffic cameras and things like that, or, CTV cameras all over the place with facial recognition technology. You should be able to have a sporting chance as a criminal. And when they take that away, it bothers me.
What is this? No, I don't care about that really. But I do dislike the idea of there being more things that you have to have to participate in society in general, you know? Because, I'm at the Fringe right now with my landline, and people are like, that's really weird. And I've gotten to the point now where it's like, I'm so eccentric, to just be doing this and not have a cell phone. Yeah.
You even had a girlfriend question dating you because of the fact that you had no cell phone. It was very creepy.
That's right.
And strange.
Yeah, that's true. So... But it's like...
And it is, really. Let's face it.
It's kind of strange, but at the same time, I don't feel like it adds anything to my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking talk on the phone all the time.
Well,
I don't want goddamn people calling me all the time.
Nobody ever calls, and no, I never talk on the phone.
So why do you have this...
That's not what it's for.
So why do you have this high-tech, sophisticated telephone?
It's for social media, it's for internet, it's for email, it's for text messaging.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
And rarely you actually talk on the phone with somebody. And it's for taking pictures and
I think a lot of the stuff, I mean, it's like, look what we can do with this thing. But I think it just mostly ends up just distracting you from like experiencing your life. And you don't even actually see anything around you or experience people around you because you're just off.
I love seeing people all the time go to a good show or something. You're watching a band and you see people all holding their phones up, videotaping the band. And they're at a live concert. But all they're experiencing is what they're going to experience a day later when they watch the video back, because they're witnessing it through this little screen. Just watch the band and experience it that time and enjoy that experience.
But people have that notion about everything, especially when they're taking pictures.
Yeah.
People are always trying to capture moments with taking pictures and stuff.
Experience the moment.
It doesn't matter.
Don't put this device between you and the experience. Isn't that make it? It's so weird to me.
Because the thing is, what ends up happening with things like that, where you like try to like save all these memories and do all this shit, you put it away somewhere. Eventually, just like, what the hell is this shit? And you throw it away.
I would rather have the memory than the representation of the memory, because you don't actually even really have the memory. You have the memory of the picture you took, because all you see is the picture as you're taking it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Instead of, it's very strange to me.
But it's just having your life mediated through like something.
Yeah.
And it's the other thing too, where it's like the thing where everyone's constantly on their phone doing like some weird thing and stuff, and you're in like a setting, you're in some weird bar or something, you're some place where you usually have to like have some sort of experience,
right,
or do something weird, but instead you're just like, I can just go to this thing and be like connected to everyone I already know right now, and it's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as bad as a lot of people I know, but I still am guilty of that. I mean, I used to read a lot, but now it's just, oh, here's my phone. I will fuck around on this, not really doing anything. And it is some kind of weird social safety blanket. When you're in a place, I'm often in a place alone, and so I have my phone with me, and I can at least pretend that I'm doing something, even though I'm not really doing anything, and I can shut out everybody else around me. I don't know how many times I've had fake conversations on my phone, because it's like...
What?
Well, either I see somebody I don't want to talk to, or something's going on, and
so you pick it up and start talking?
I pretend to be talking on my phone, a lot. Nobody answers, Warren. Don't give me that.
That's weird. I know. I think I was on a subway once, and I saw some guy animatedly talking into his phone and yelling into it, and then I looked around and saw that it was one of those like candy containers. It looks like a phone. And that's what makes me think of.
Yeah, see, I've had the problem. Here's a tip for all you people who, if you want to have fake conversations on your cell phone, turn off the ringer beforehand, because I've actually been pretending to talk on my phone, and then it started ringing while I was pretending to talk on it. Yeah, that's embarrassing.
I just think it's all just a bunch of stuff we don't need, and I think it's distracting and not that fun. And I think it like makes life less relaxing and fun and good.
I'm torn, because I like gadgets, I like technology, and a user interface like the Xbox One has, where it's gesture and voice based, is interesting to me. I think it's cool, but I am also really creeped out and almost borderline like paranoid conspiracy theorist about information mining. It just creeps me out. I don't know. I don't know what kind of balance you can strike. Either you have to just completely not take part in modern society and modern technology, or just give up and say, okay, everyone's going to know everything about me.
Well, that's the place where I am. I don't fucking care if people know shit. I just do whatever. But it's like, I'm also not going to be like completely dialed in on everything.
Well, everyone always goes, well, if you're not doing anything that's wrong, then what does it matter? It's just the principle. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So, I don't know. A dark vision of a dystopian future perhaps coming our way, or it might not matter at all. Who gives a shit? All right. I don't think we'll come to any conclusion on this week's episode of The Warren and Bradley Show. And I think, looking at the clock, we've been talking way too long already.
All right.
So let's wrap this up, Warren.
Okay.
This has been one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
This is your other host, Warren Van.
Saying...
throw away your telephones.
Cell phones.
Throw away your cell phones.
This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com.